Okay.
This is the breadcrumbs I use for that mai down there. This is real thin breadcrumbs, and what I do is I use a pancake mix. With that pancake mix, you got it. My neighbor just got me hooked up on that. You got to get it real runny. Dry the fish off, dip it in the pancake mix, and make sure she's all but dripped out, real light. Then roll it in the breadcrumbs, and what I like to do is normally put it in a deep fry so it gets all done all at one spot instead of on a frying pan that you can only do one side with the fat. So I use like a Fry Daddy or a regular deep fryer. Only about maybe 2 minutes, a minute and a half, that's all it takes. But the secret is putting the beer. I hate to use that, waste that beer in the pancake mix, but I have to do it. So it's the beer with the pancake mix, get it runny, really drippy, and then after that roll it in the breadcrumbs on a paper plate or anything like that and deep fry it. So that's no big secret on doing the mai. Now getting back to this this other dish, this is for Julio. What I do is I boil the chicken first, and what I do is I pick all the skins off. I usually like to use the thighs. I'm saving some of the fat off the chicken, but if you're not really fussy with that, you can go with the broth here. You can use that if you don't have that. But I usually make the chicken about almost all done, so there's no debate whether it's done or not. With the onions, what I found out is I make them a little bit on the thinner side, about maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch if you can. That way it don't get a lot of onion. Same way with the green pepper, you can use red peppers. I cut them in slices, and you got to be real careful when you're making it in the oven about 350 that it don't get overdone. It'll get all soggy. So the trick of it is I think, is you have to drink about 2-3 cans of beer. The more beer you drink, the better it gets. So when I found out you want a little bit spicy, I use some jalapenos. I use the barbecue sauce, gives it a little bit of a sweet taste, and a little bit of syrup. Salt and pepper, and then I use the crushed tomatoes. Of course, we're going to be using some salt, and garlic is another big thing I spread on the fish, and some seasoning. If you're a good Italian, you probably would make this 100 times better than I can. So this is some of the ingredients I use. Like I said, the best thing for you to do is have a couple of beers, because the more beers you have, the better it gets. So we're gonna put the chicken on there, and I'll show you how I do it. But I don't know, I think I came up with this recipe from my wife a little bit, from my mom, and from drinking beer. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the chicken on here, and I'll show you what I do with this chicken. I feel instead of putting it all in one lump, I usually put it out in the pan. I grease the pan up a little bit, and I just put it out. I want the sauce to get into the chicken. I don't want to mix it all up. I want a lot of the garlic and stuff to be in the chicken. Got to get a little paper towel here. It's a little sloppy, but what I do is I try to rub some of this stuff on before, so I want it to like be making as while it's cooking. Barbecue sauce, it has nothing to do with being fancy. So I'll open that garlic and put that in. Like I said, it all has to do with your own taste. And I use quite a bit of garlic on there. You know, a lot of it's going to drip down anyway into the juice. So what you want to do is I put pretty much on. I like garlic. And like I said, another thing I do is I use the jalapeno peppers or a little bit of hot sauce, but the hot sauce...
Hold them up so you see the name.
The hot sauce really,
Okay.
it gives it a little bit of a different taste. But with the hot peppers, I don't get carried away. I just put a few on to give it a little bit of a tang to it. And what I do is I put all this stuff on and I'll rub it in a little bit. And here, I don't know, I think it's the beer. I put a little bit more sweet sauce on it. Give it a little bit of sweetness. My wife says I'm not sweet enough, so I try my best. Same way with the seasoning. You can put oregano. I put any kind of seasoning on a little bit. And some salt and pepper, of course. But you can see that once that's all baked in, it got to get good. It has to be. A little bit of salt. Nobody likes salt, but it brings out the flavor in the chicken. And you can put some pepper on it. I mean, this recipe only takes a few minutes. So I just rub this all in, and I'll probably put some more of this on. More of the barbecue sauce. Rub that all in the chicken. This way here, it's going to be soaking in the chicken from the top, of course. And then the juices on the bottom will get the bottom. So I don't worry about doing both halves, because it's just going to go down to the bottom into the broth. Like I said, I haven't had any beer, so it's going to be like, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but she's going to have to do what I got to do. Then I'll put the peppers and onions again. I'll just spread them over top. Like the chicken's already done, but we want to get the vegetables, the flavor of the peppers and the onions to go in there. And I found out that I cut the onions a little bit thinner, so you don't want to munch on a lot of onions. The thinner it gets, the onions will get a little bit better. And I just go ahead and put that all on. Some more peppers. And it all depends on how much peppers and onions you want on. But like the peppers will cook down, so you cannot be afraid of putting too many on. But everybody will come up with their own little. And you see that onion there is a little thicker. A lot of people don't like a lot of onions, but a lot of times when you make this, they don't even know it's on there. I'll put a little bit more salt on there. And now we'll come up with this crushed tomatoes. What I'll do with that is I like to just crush that all. Diced tomatoes on top. And I'll put the juice in there. Everybody, when they're eating this, I put this over noodles, and everybody goes for the sauce at the bottom. I found out most of the time the guys that eat it, I don't know if they're just so darn hungry they like it, or if they really do like it. So now I took the broth off that chicken a little bit. A lot of people don't like to use that, so I don't want to wash it all off of that, so I'll just pour it on the side. If I don't want to wash all that other stuff off the chicken. And like I said, it don't, in about an hour you could make this, and when I do go down the Keys, I don't have a lot of time, you know, to prepare food. And a little bit of seasoning just don't hurt. Brings out the flavor in almost anything, except beer. I usually drink that straight. So, and garlic is always a little bit of a key to bringing out the flavor in all the food. And Julio, you ought to know, you're a garlic, you're Italian, I think. So that garlic usually brings out the flavor. I like it. You can put garlic on almost anything and it tastes good. So that's, you know, that's about all you need to do. And there's no real big thing on how much you use. I mean, if you sort of got a little bit of what you're doing, it doesn't matter. It all come out pretty good. And that's about it. Now I'll just cover that up and put it in the oven. And well, I usually take a peek at it. I don't want the vegetables to get all super done, but I want them not to be too crispy. I'll take a peek in there, and you just got to get it at the right time. If you put it up too hot, I think it gets the vegetables done too quick. And normally this meal is always best on the first day. I think the second day the juices get too much into the onions and peppers, and it gets a little bit too soggy. So the first day is the best. You can't pre-make this because you want that vegetables a little bit firmer to spread on the noodles. You know, I don't put it over pasta because it's just too thin. If you put it over noodles, I think you get a little bit better texture. So that's about it. That's it. Call it what you want. So we'll see you again the next time.